After I spent months planning my husband's birthday, his parents walked in and said, "We already threw a better party for his brother's wife." My husband shrugged. "You can't expect them to treat everyone the same." I smiled and said, "Oh, I don't, which is why I just made some changes." Their faces went white as they read what I had just finalized. I've been married to Daniel for 5 years. We live in Austin, Texas. No kids, but we have a dog, which honestly feels like the most stable part of this relationship. Daniel is the younger of 2 brothers. His older brother, Brandon, is married to a woman named Sophia. His parents adore Sophia. If she so much as sneezes, they act like she just invented oxygen. Meanwhile, I'm tolerated. I noticed it early on, but I tried to brush it off. I figured, maybe it's in my head. Maybe they'll warm up to me over time. Spoiler, they did not. It was never outright hostility. Just a pattern. Little things. When Daniel and I visit them, they barely acknowledge me, but when Brandon and Sophia show up, it's like the second coming of Christ. They gush over her outfits, her career, her hobbies. Once, we brought a bottle of wine to Thanksgiving. His mom said, "Oh, we don't really drink wine." The next weekend, she posted a picture of herself drinking that same brand of wine with Sophia. They invite Brandon and Sophia on family trips. We find out after the fact. Brandon and Sophia get thoughtful, expensive gifts. We get a Walmart candle or a gift card, sometimes. Daniel knows this. I've pointed it out. His response? That's just how they are. Fine. But then came his birthday. And that's when I learned exactly where I stood. Daniel's birthday was coming up, and I wanted to make it special. Not just a dinner or a cake, I mean special. He'd been stressed at work, and I wanted him to feel appreciated. I spent months planning. I booked a private event space at a nice bar downtown. It had a rooftop patio, string lights, and a beautiful view of the city. I ordered custom decorations, got a caterer for his favorite foods, and even had a bourbon-flavored cake made by this bakery he loves. I coordinated with our friends, made sure his best friend from college, who lived out of state, could fly in. I wanted this to be a night he'd never forget. And at first, it was. He walked in, saw everyone, and looked so genuinely surprised. He hugged me, kissed me, told me how much he loved it. I was so happy. Then his parents arrived. Late. They walked in, glanced around, and the first thing out of his mom's mouth? "Oh, how sweet. But we already threw a party for Brandon's wife last weekend." It was so elegant. Not, "Happy birthday, Daniel." Not, "Wow, this is amazing." Just, comparing this party to the one they threw for Sophia. And Daniel? He shrugged. Then he said, "Well, you can't expect them to treat everyone the same." I felt my face go hot. I had spent months planning this. I put my heart into this. And they just walked in and dismissed it like it was a last-minute pizza night. I looked at his parents. I looked at him. Then I smiled and said, "Oh, I don't, which is why I just made some changes." And then I walked away to finalize them. My original gift to Daniel was a weekend trip to a luxury resort in Miami. 5-star hotel, beachfront suite, spa reservations, the works. Flights were already booked. I went into the hotel's reservation system and transferred everything into Brandon and Sophia's name. But I didn't tell them. I let them think we were still coming. Then I canceled our flights. For years, Daniel's parents assumed he was the breadwinner in our marriage. They'd make little comments like, "Well, we know you're working hard to provide for her." I let it slide. The truth? I made more than Daniel. A lot more. And I had been putting a good chunk of my income into our joint savings. My money had been making our life comfortable. I logged into our accounts and transferred every dollar I had put into that savings account into a personal one under my name. Nothing illegal, just reclaiming what was mine. Every Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, I was the one making plans. I booked flights, handled accommodations, made sure we showed up. Not anymore. I sent a single text to his parents. "Since you prefer to prioritize one son over the other, I'll make it easy for you. We won't be attending any future holidays. No hard feelings." Then I blocked them. After the party, I went home and sat in the bedroom. Just sat there. Daniel walked in, all casual. "What's wrong?" I turned to him and asked, "Do you realize how much effort I put into tonight?" He blinked, confused. "Yeah, and it was great." "Your parents just walked in and dismissed it." And you shrugged. "Babe, it's just how they are." I don't know what snapped in me, but something did. I had spent 5 years being brushed aside. 5 years of effort in my marriage, in this family, and it was never enough. I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, I realized I was done. I took a deep breath and said, "Okay." And that was the moment I decided to leave him. The next morning, I woke up before Daniel and just lay there, staring at the ceiling. The decision I had made the night before was still clear in my mind. I was done. But I wasn't going to rush it. I needed to be smart. I got up, made coffee, and sat at the kitchen table, scrolling through my phone. Notifications from the party were still coming in: photos, messages, people saying how amazing it was. But I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about what needed to happen next. Then Daniel walked in, stretching, yawning. He smiled. Morning. I just sipped my coffee. He sat down across from me, oblivious, and said, "So, what's the plan for today?" I wanted to laugh. Like everything was fine. Like the night before hadn't happened. Not sure yet, I said, keeping my voice neutral. He started talking about work like I cared. I just nodded, pretending to listen. But inside, I was making a checklist. Talk to a lawyer, already had an appointment set up. Find a new place, started looking at apartments the second I woke up. Get my money in order, already handled that. Plan my exit. Daniel had no idea. But I wasn't the only one making moves. That afternoon, Daniel got a call from his brother. I was in the other room, pretending to fold laundry, when I heard him say, "Wait, what?" Silence. Then, "No, that doesn't make any sense." More silence. His voice got sharper. "Why would she do that?" I smirked. "Here we go." He walked into the bedroom, phone still pressed to his ear. His face was tight. He looked at me. "Brandon says you changed our Miami trip to their names." I acted confused. "Oh, did I?" His eyebrows shot up. "What the hell, my name?" I shrugged. "You said it yourself. You can't expect people to treat everyone the same." His jaw clenched. "That was your birthday gift to me. And what did you do when I threw you a birthday party? You let your parents walk in and crap all over it. Didn't say a word. So, I figured you'd be fine with me treating your brother the way your parents treat you." His face turned red. "This isn't the same thing." I tilted my head. "No? It feels exactly the same to me." He stared at me, at a total loss. He wasn't used to me standing up for myself like this. But then his phone rang again. His mom. I raised an eyebrow. Might want to take that. For the next hour, I listened to Daniel's family absolutely lose their minds over the phone. His mom was furious. Why would she do something like this? His dad chimed in. "We've always treated her well. This is childish." Brandon and Sophia? Confused but not exactly complaining. They were already in Miami, checked into the hotel, sipping cocktails by the pool. Daniel was stuck in the middle, pacing the house, trying to calm everyone down. Finally, he hung up and turned to me. His voice was lower now, controlled. "Fix this." I sipped my water. "No." His nostrils flared. "You're being ridiculous." I shrugged. "I don't think I am." He exhaled sharply, rubbing his temples. I could see it now, the fear. Not just about the trip. About me. Something had shifted, and he could feel it. But he still thought he could control the situation. I let him think that. 2 days later, his parents showed up at our house. I was on the couch, scrolling through my phone, when I heard the knock. Daniel opened the door, and there they were. His mother, arms crossed. His father, looking annoyed. "Can we talk?" she said, stepping inside without waiting for an answer. I stayed where I was. She sat down across from me, pressing her lips together like she was trying not to explode. "Why would you do something so petty?" I looked at her. "What part? The trip? The money? Or blocking you?" Her face twitched. "All of it." I nodded. "Because I finally decided to stop pretending that this family values me." His dad scoffed. "That's not fair." I raised an eyebrow. "Isn't it? You throw expensive parties for Sophia. Take her on trips. Treat her like she walks on water. What have you done for me? Ever?" Silence. His mom waved a hand. "That's not the point. We're family." I laughed. Actually laughed. "You only call me family when you want something from me." Daniel finally spoke up. "Can we just fix this?" I stood up. "No." His mom's eyes widened. "Excuse me?" I grabbed my keys. "I have errands to run." And then I walked right past them and out the door. I drove around for a bit, blasting music, just breathing. But when I got back home an hour later, something felt off. I stepped inside. Daniel was sitting on the couch, head in his hands. His parents were gone. He looked up at me. And then he said it, "I talked to a lawyer." And just like that, I realized. So did I. I stood there, staring at Daniel. I talked to a lawyer. I hadn't expected him to say that first. I had expected more arguing, more gaslighting. Maybe even some fake apologies. But this? I set my keys down slowly. "Oh!" He nodded, his face unreadable. "Yeah, just to see what my options are." I crossed my arms. "And what did you find out?" His jaw tightened. "Nothing yet. Just getting information." I could tell he was lying. Or at least, not telling the full truth. I stayed quiet, watching him. He was waiting for me to freak out, to argue, to beg. But I wasn't playing his game. Okay, I said. He blinked. Okay. I shrugged. Yeah. If that's what you want to do, go for it. That seemed to throw him off. He exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck. Look, I don't want things to get messy. I almost laughed. You don't want things to get messy? But instead, I just gave him a small smile. We'll see. Then I turned around and walked into the bedroom, shutting the door behind me. He had talked to a lawyer. Good. So had I. And I had more leverage than he realized. The next day, I was at work when I got a text. It was from Sophia. Sophia, hey. I know things are weird right now, but can we talk? That was surprising. Sophia and I weren't close. Not enemies, but not exactly friends. I stared at my phone for a second, then typed back. Me, sure. What's up? Sophia, can we meet? Like, in person? Now that was weird. But I was curious. An hour later, we were sitting at a coffee shop downtown. She looked nervous, tapping her nails on the table. Finally, she let out a breath. Okay, so, I know things have been bad between you and Daniel's family. And I know you're probably mad at me too. I shrugged. Not really. You didn't do anything. She nodded. Yeah, well, I thought I should tell you something. Because I don't think you know. I raised an eyebrow. Okay. She hesitated. Then she pulled out her phone, scrolled for a second, and turned the screen toward me. I stared. It was a text thread. Between Daniel and Brandon. And it was bad. Daniel, I swear to God, I don't know what's wrong with her. She's acting crazy. Brandon, dude, you need to shut that down before she takes you for everything. Daniel, I know. I talked to a lawyer. He said if I move things around now, I can protect what's mine. Brandon, good. Do it before she figures it out. My stomach dropped. Sophia sighed. I wasn't gonna say anything. But then I found out about the whole Miami thing, and I started thinking. And when I saw what Brandon was texting, I don't know, it just felt wrong. I swallowed hard. Why are you showing me this? She hesitated. Because I don't think it's fair. What they're doing to you. I mean, I like the attention from his parents, don't get me wrong, but even I can tell they treat you like crap. I exhaled. So what are you saying? She leaned in. I'm saying you need to hit first. Before Daniel makes his move. I left the coffee shop with my mind racing. Daniel was trying to move our money. Hide assets. Screw me over before I could do anything. But he didn't know I had already moved mine. I called my lawyer. We need to file. Now. He agreed. Said he'd start the paperwork immediately. I got home that night and acted normal. Daniel was already in bed, scrolling on his phone. He looked up. Where were you? Coffee with a friend. He nodded, not suspicious. Not yet. I climbed into bed and stared at the ceiling, waiting for the moment I would pull the rug out from under him. 2 days later, I was at home when Daniel left for work. I waited until his car was down the street before I called his bank. Hi, I need to check on some account activity. I had access to the joint account. I knew something was off. And I was right. A large transfer had been scheduled for tomorrow morning. He was actually trying to move our money before I could do anything. I hung up and called my lawyer. File it. Now. That evening, Daniel walked in, tossing his keys on the counter. I was sitting at the table, sipping tea. Hey, he said. Hey, I said back. He went to the fridge, grabbed a beer, and turned back to me. You good? I smiled. Yeah. Then I set an envelope on the table. He frowned. What's that? I slid it toward him. Open it. He gave me a weird look but did. Pulled out the papers. Started reading. And his face turned white. What is this? He whispered. Divorce papers, I said simply. His head snapped up. Are you serious? I nodded. Completely. His eyes darted across the pages. How did you? I already talked to a lawyer, I said, my voice calm. Before you did. His mouth opened. Closed. You tried to move our money, I continued. But I already moved mine. You tried to hide assets. But I already filed. He just stared at me. I leaned forward. And you're going to sign them. Because if you don't, I will drag this through the courts and take everything. His hands clenched into fists. You can't do this. I tilted my head. I already did. And for the first time ever, Daniel had nothing to say. Daniel's face was a mix of disbelief, anger, and something else, panic. He looked down at the divorce papers again, flipping through them like he could somehow change what was written. His breath was shaky. You went behind my back? He asked, his voice tight. I scoffed. I went behind your back? I leaned forward, my voice eerily calm. Daniel, you tried to screw me over first. You were planning to move our money. To hide assets. And you were dumb enough to put it in texts. His eyes flickered. That was the moment he knew I had proof. Who told you that? He snapped. I smiled. Wouldn't you like to know? He set the papers down and rubbed his temples. His whole body was tense. This is insane, he muttered. No, what's insane is me putting up with you and your family for 5 years, I shot back. I cooked, I planned, I tried to be part of your world. And what did I get in return? Nothing. No appreciation, no respect. Just constant reminders that I was second place in your life. He stood up suddenly, the chair scraping against the floor. You're overreacting. Yeah, my parents aren't great to you, but you never stood up for me. I cut him off, my voice sharp. Never. You let them treat me like I didn't matter. And when I finally fought back, you were the first one to try and take me down. He opened his mouth, then shut it. His fingers clenched into fists, and for the first time, I saw something other than anger in his eyes. Guilt. That's when the doorbell rang. Neither of us moved at first. The tension was so thick I could barely breathe. Then the doorbell rang again. Daniel muttered, "What now?" and stomped toward the door. He swung it open. And there they were. His parents. And standing slightly behind them? Sophia. My heart thumped. Daniel's mom walked in first, her lips pressed into a thin line. His dad followed, stiff and quiet. Sophia didn't move. She just looked at me. And I knew. She was on my side. Daniel, his mom started, her voice strained, "We need to talk." Daniel sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Not now, Mom. We know what you tried to do," she said, cutting him off. Daniel froze. I blinked. Wait. His dad crossed his arms. Brandon told us. A beat of silence. Then what? Daniel's voice cracked as he spun to face me. You talked to Brandon? I shook my head slowly. I didn't. But it looks like Sophia did. Sophia stepped forward, her face unreadable. I told him everything, she said simply. About the money. About how you and he were texting about screwing her over. About how you were going to move things before she could react. Daniel's hands curled into fists. You traitor. Watch it, Sophia snapped, her eyes flashing. I'm not the bad guy here. His mom let out a harsh breath. Daniel, what were you thinking? His face turned red. You lied to us. She hissed. We thought you were happy. We thought this was just her being difficult, but no, you were trying to steal from your own wife. Daniel's jaw tightened. It's not stealing, it's my money too. I snorted. That's funny, because you sure as hell weren't the one earning most of it. He spun back to me. You're trying to make me look like a monster. I tilted my head. Are you? Silence. His mom sat down heavily on the couch, rubbing her temples. We raised you better than this. Daniel laughed bitterly. Oh, now you care? After years of treating her like she's invisible. He looked at them, his whole body shaking. You made it clear she wasn't part of this family, and I went along with it. That's on me. But don't act like you're saints in this. His dad's face darkened. Watch your tone. Daniel let out a sharp, humorless laugh. Now you want to parent me? His mom's face fell. And that's when I saw it. Daniel wasn't just angry. He was hurt. Not just by me, but by them. By the years of playing second best to Brandon. For the first time in our whole relationship, I saw the cracks in him. But it was too late. Daniel turned back to me, his eyes filled with something raw. Do you really want to do this? He asked, his voice lower now. Almost pleading. Do you really want to throw everything away? I felt something tighten in my chest. I had loved him. I had tried. But love wasn't enough. You already threw it away, I said softly. His face crumpled for a second before he caught himself. He looked at his parents, then at Sophia, then at me. He let out a slow breath. Fine, he said. You win. He grabbed a pen from the counter, flipped to the last page of the divorce papers, and signed. His parents left first. His mom looked at me on the way out. I'm sorry, she muttered. I didn't respond. Sophia stayed behind for a second. She gave me a small nod, almost like respect, then left too. Daniel didn't look at me. He just sat on the couch, staring at nothing. I grabbed my bag, took one last look at him, and walked out the door. A month later, I was sitting in my new apartment, sipping coffee, watching the sunrise. The divorce was moving forward. Daniel hadn't fought it. Maybe he knew there was nothing left to fight for.